Our session tonight is on self-care for MRC volunteers, and our presenter is Christina Hall. And I had her bio up and now it's gone. Here we go. Christina Hall has served in the position of Common Health Wellness Coordinator for the Shenandoah Valley region, which includes 45 state agencies and 57 local choice groups since 2008. She helps design and implement both statewide and individual agency employee wellness programs as part of the Office of Health Benefits in the Department of Human Resource Management. She's been nominated for a Governor's Award for DHRM and shows a passion for healthy living and caring for her community in Stanton. We're really excited, Christina, for you to be here with us tonight. I think it's going to be an awesome session, and take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that welcome. And thank you all for showing up this evening and allowing me to be a part of what you do with your time tonight. I am excited to talk with you all about you. And I hope tonight that we can facilitate a conversation really between us and yourself, and hopefully spark some ideas for other people as well about kind of the best ways that we can take care of ourselves. I want to just start out by talking about how it feels to be where we are now. If you're like a lot of folks, the last couple of years have been pretty intense, kind of exhausting and challenging in many different ways. And so what I'm hoping to do is just take a moment to step back and reflect and figure out where we'd like to head from here. It's such a good time in December to take stock and assess where we've come from, and then really where we'd like to head towards next. And so with the new year approaching, this is really an opportune time to kind of step back and decide what is it that we want more of in the coming year. So what I'd like to do now, I'm going to go ahead and share my presentation screen. And if you'll allow me to get that situated. And wonderful. Okay, if you could just let me know if you have any trouble seeing that. Otherwise, I'm just going to move forward. So tonight we're going to talk about finding more energy. Really what limits us typically is two factors. The first one is time. And then the second one is when we do find time to do things that are pleasing to us, sometimes we don't have the energy to make it happen. So what I'd like to do is start to talk about where we want to head and how we can do that in a way that is going to help feel like we maybe are more like ourselves, that we have the energy that we would like to do the activities that make us feel like we would like to feel. So this screen cracks me up. Your battery is running low, but you're charged at 97%. Does that hit for anybody else? Like, you got the sleep you were supposed to get, but it didn't recharge your battery. And what gives when that happens? When we set aside that time to rest and sleep and really recharge, but then we wake up still just exhausted as we were when we went to bed, that may be a tip off to dig deeper. And we all have this enough experience now to know that there isn't a miracle cure out there. I don't have a magical supplement that I can recommend or a silver bullet that's going to work for everybody. There's no like one exercise I'm going to be able to tell you that's like it. You're going to be full of energy, vim and vigor and ready to go. It just really doesn't work like that. There's tons of different factors that are going to play into you really feeling like you're living the life that you want. So today I am not going to tell you anything magical. I'm not going to tell you all that much this evening at all. What I am going to do is hopefully spark your curiosity about what's best for you and how to reassess that in order to hopefully result in more energy to do what you would like to do. What we'd like to do is take what you already know about yourself and reorganize it so that you can start to see some patterns about what you need to feel your best. And really feel your best, like maybe that's too big of a goal for right now. Like maybe we just want to be okay today. That's a good goal too. So when we think about changing our lives, we kind of have this bias towards doing more. I'm going to add a bunch of stuff in. But we do have this option to do less and to kind of deliberately welcome some quiet, some restorative inaction. And if you're really battling some persistent fatigue, it might be time to look at that fatigue a little bit more deeply and figure out which one of your batteries might be running low and maybe drawing the rest down as well. So this is our first chance for audience participation. I love using the chat, so I hope you all are comfortable there too. I want to talk about this great mystery of adult life, like how we can sit down all day and just kind of type with our fingers or read or engage in these kind of passive ways, but yet we still feel completely exhausted. How could just merely activating your little clicker muscle be just so energy zapping that we're longing for the couch, even though we're probably sitting 5 feet away in a different chair? The other question is, how do we feel sometimes when enjoyable activities zap our energy? So what I'd like you to do, and what I want you to think about for the chat here, is have you ever said, "I'm tired," when you really meant something else? Like, for example, do you say, "I'm tired," when really you're maybe frustrated? When maybe you don't have patience for someone that you know maybe you need to have patience for? Go ahead and start in the chat if you would. And let me know if there's anything you've ever said that has indicated that you were in fact maybe not exactly tired. And then Kate, unfortunately, the way my screen is, if you could read out some of those for me again, that would be so helpful. So what are some of those things that you overwhelmed? I'm seeing that come through. Overwhelmed, emotionally taxed. Yes, sometimes it doesn't feel like we're allowed to be maxed out in our emotional drained. These are really great descriptors here. That feeling like you don't have anything to give out. So we use this cover of tired, of exhaustion. Very good. Keep these ideas flowing.
There was
What is
bored as well. A couple
bored?
people said bored.
Awesome. Anxious. All of these, like none of these are happy, good time feelings, right? So when we say tired, we're almost trying to obscure all of these different aspects. Sometimes we're not really saying we're sleepy. We're saying we don't have the energy to give to whatever is in front of us. Or sometimes disconnected. Excellent, Deborah. I like that one too. Sometimes we're annoyed or irritated or frustrated, unmotivated. Excellent. Excellent. Too many obligations at once. So you cover that over with like, I'm just tired. I'm sorry. I'm tired. We all do this sometimes. And I think what's really helpful is to start to recognize, are we saying that we are physically sleepy and need rest? Or are we saying we are exhausted in some other aspect of our lives? And we know that only so many things can be cured with a nap. So when we kind of scale everything down to this tired idea, we tend to think that sleep is going to be something that will resolve it. But unfortunately, even when we've slept the correct, some of us still don't get enough sleep as well. And you know what? We're going to hit on that. I've got some additional resources. If that is an issue for you, if you're not able to get the sleep that you need, then the idea of addressing that as a primary concern is where you want to start. But sometimes we find that we're not getting the sleep we need because we have this mental chatter going on over and over and over again that doesn't allow us to sink into that real rest. So when we are saying that we are tired, sleepy, maybe not necessarily meaning we are sleepy. Could mean, oops, I'm sorry. I think I just went the wrong direction there. So our tiredness sometimes is greater than just the lack of sleep. When we look at being tired as or sleep as the only tool in our toolbox, sometimes we miss quite a bit about what is actually going to satisfy us. So if you're getting the recommended number of hours of sleep, which is about 7 or more is great. If you're getting the recommended amount of sleep, but you're still finding yourself exhausted, something else in your balance is off. And just making this small recognition can open up a whole new world of options to deal with your energy level and let you become more aware of what it is that you actually need to shake that fatigue. So by looking at sleep as the only path to being less tired, we turn sleep into this hammer. So one quick note here. If you're in doubt about the source of your fatigue, really start with making sure that that is not associated with any health problem. You want to go to your doctor and just rule out a physical cause for that fatigue if it continues to persist. But if you've addressed any physical sleep issues, you've gotten a checkup, all of your health seems to be on track, then something else is going on. And I don't mean to say that sleep here is not essential. It is one of the most important things that you can do to care for your body. Common Health has another program called Better Nights Ahead, and I will give you a link at the end of our session today where you can go and access that, all about getting healthy rest, figuring out what issues you may have, and when to go see a doctor about getting better with your sleep. My best sleep tip, though, is to take it easy about it. If you're a person who gets very stressed about sleep, and I absolutely was this person, would grab the alarm clock, look at it, quickly do the math to figure out how much time I had left before the alarm was going off. I almost created my own anxiety feedback loop there. What you can try is to recognize the value of just resting, just laying there, relaxing, not taking any information in, not accelerating the speed of your life, just saying, even though I'm not asleep, this rest is still valuable for me. What that can do is kind of vent off that stress about being a bad sleeper. It's okay. The rest is better than the stress of not sleeping. So we'll follow up at the end today with some other links to get you some more support with sleep issues, if that is your trouble. But if you're getting your recommended rest, let's see where else we can go with filling these batteries back up. There are 7 categories that we're going to look at tonight. And really what I'd like us to think about doing is creating almost a roadmap for ourselves about how we can reset our energy levels. And I'd like to focus within each of these 7 zones because this is really what makes you, you. So we have mental rest, and that is the ability to quiet our brains, stop ruminating, and focus on the things that matter. We have spiritual rest that helps us find meaning and purpose. Emotional rest is the ability to be honest about our feelings. Social rest is the wisdom to recognize relationships that revive from ones that exhaust. Sensory is limiting the endless onslaught of sensory input received from electronics, fragrances, and background noise. Creative rest is the experience of allowing beauty to inspire. And then physical rest, of course, is a chance to use the body in restorative ways. So that's what we're going to dig in on. And what I'd like us to look at is really having at least one thing that matches up with how we live, with how we want to focus our attention in this upcoming year. So if you don't have a pen and paper, go ahead and grab one just so you can take a couple notes. Stand up and get a stretch break now that we're going to get into the meat of this. We've got the introduction. So let's get thinking about just your personal reflection on what works for you. And that's what I said in the beginning. I don't know you. You don't know me. I can't advise you about what makes your heart sing or what makes your soul feel complete. Only you know what it is that tickles your fancy. So really be reflective tonight on what it is that works for you, not what you think should work for you or is supposed to work for you. What actually does it? So wonderful. As we go through these different categories, think about jotting down some ideas. They can be quick one-offs or they can be much bigger, long-term, in-depth projects. Regular habits, novel experiences, whatever it is. Just think about things that you can actually execute with few barriers and write down what is actually going to be feasible within the circumstances of your life. That's going to give us an action plan for tonight. So start, big breath, everybody take a stretch. And let's get ready to talk about mental rest. So mental rest is the ability to quiet cerebral chatter and focus on the things that matter. So even if the muscles in your body can be completely relaxed, the mind can still be active. Racing thoughts can drain you even when you're physically rested. And so mental effort is still effort, and the brain is not a machine. So if, like many people, your occupation draws primarily on your mental resources or your volunteer work draws primarily on your mental resources, you might find that tiredness comes in the form of a loss of concentration. You might feel cynical. You might be irritated or apathetic. This is where everybody's mood just kind of tanks. So mental rest is about pausing the brain and intentionally setting aside thoughts and worries. Mindfulness meditation can help take us a step back from busy thoughts and calm that internal chatter. If that's not something that you have tried, there are all kinds of tools available for you to get into that. I have a video later tonight that will kind of test out from a company called Headspace that does a great job of teaching beginner meditation. So if that's not something that you've tried before, go ahead and seek that out. Another thing that you can try in this zone is to refuse to allow your mind to dwell on negative. The mind kind of always wants to go down the path of least resistance. And instead of getting pulled down that path when we're feeling mentally spent, try to put up some roadblocks that help redirect your thoughts back to things that cause you to feel happy and hopeful. Even during difficult situations, an optimistic perspective can help you break through into better days. So really, this is when we are working overtime in our minds. One thing that we can try right now, this is quick and easy. This is called the 20-20-20 rule. And what that is a way to relax your face when you're looking at your computer screen. So what I'd like you to do now is find something that's about 20 feet away. We're going to look at it for 20 seconds. And that seems like just such a small act. You get bonus points if what you've chosen to look at is something alive, like a plant. I'm big into plants. If it's a pet, or if you're looking out an open window, I know we're in the evening, there's not a lot to see out there now, but if you look at something else alive, it can also help to kind of supercharge that action. If you think about when you're looking at a computer screen, oh, aquarium, beautiful, beautiful idea. So when we think about looking at your computer screen, almost think about that as having your eyes do a workout. So if you're doing bicep curls, you can do this for a while. You're going through a range of motion, right? If I asked you to take that same curl and just hold it in the same position and not move, your muscle is going to tire out more quickly. And what you're doing when you're looking at your computer screen at the same distance consistently and sometimes for hours is that you're asking your eyes to stay in that one position and not move through their natural range of motion. And what that does is adds a lot of tension into your face. So this simple act of just looking away and allowing our eyes to readjust can make a huge difference in whether or not your face holds on to that tension for the rest of the session that you're on that computer. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Something quick, something easy, low barriers to doing that, but high reward. Nothing that's going to take a bunch of time away from you, but these little tweaks and habits that can help you feel less tension, less stress, less discomfort really at this. So how do you do this reset when you're doing your work? Go ahead and let me know in the chat. What are some of the ways that you take that mental load off, even when you're on the job? Go for a walk. Beautiful, Dan Smith. Exactly. Anybody else have any ideas? How do you hit this reset button when you're out working or out volunteering? Stand up, meditate. Deep breaths. Awesome. I was about to say deep breaths, Amanda. That was the next thing. So shut my door. Beautiful. Pray. Excellent. Listen to music. So all of these things are really wonderful resets. The breaths, super important. Take a minute, deep breathing. Love it. So there is a magical number of breaths you can take. I said I wasn't going to give you any magic pills. Here I go lying again, right? So 6 deep breaths are what it takes. I like that joke in there. So 6 deep breaths is what it takes for your brain to receive the signal that you're safe and you can relax. I love that one about shutting your eyes that just came through. Go for a walk, definitely. Especially if we're out in nature too. That's got this lovely kind of synergistic effect to help us not only physically relax, but mentally relax. Excellent, excellent work. All right, let's move into spiritual rest. And I know that we have meditation come up in that mental rest. So taking a break from the constant mental stimulation. Yes, yes. Sometimes you just have to drop out, hit pause, say nothing else can come in right now. I am full for a minute. I need a break. Close eyes, slowly breathe in and out. Beautiful. 6 breaths is what it takes to get that signal to your body that you are safe. All right, let's move into this idea of a spiritual rest. So this really is about the capacity to feel aligned to your life's purpose, to know that you're part of something that is bigger and more important than yourself. Yes, joke, cope with a joke. I love it. That's perfect. And that's going to come up again later as well when we're talking about how we can really support each other with relationships and how important that kind of laughter and having pleasant times with each other can really lift us up and invigorate us. So when we're talking about the spiritual aspect of things, there are people who live really balanced, fulfilling lives who still have this deep weariness. The problems of existence or questions into the meaning of life, they're not going to be helped with a more leisure time or a nice nap, right? That's just not going to cut it. Soundscapes, excellent. So spiritual rest is needed to allow us to connect to kind of this idea of a greater well-being. Moments of profound peace and understanding can be found everywhere. Amen, Paul. Naps are highly underrated. You're absolutely right. So when we're thinking about these moments of peace and checking in with this greater than us feeling, prayer, volunteering, which you guys are all on the tip of, meditation, art, loving kindness, working diligently on something close to your heart, connecting with nature, all kinds of philanthropic service where you are connecting to the idea of, yes, meditate on scripture, beautiful, of this connection connecting to the idea of connection, actually, because we really do need to be a part of this greater whole. And so what I'd like to do now is just have a quick little check-in. So I see Stephen is discussing the meteor shower. I watched it last night. It was so profound. It was really stunning and beautiful. I highly recommend, if you have time this evening and can go outside after 10 o'clock, if it's clear where you are. I was able to see 6 shooting stars last night. It was an incredible, stupendous experience. I can't recommend it enough. It was amazing. Oh, wonderful. Oh, yay, Dan. So great to hear you saw some too. And that there's other stargazers out there with the telescope. So what I'd like to do next is just take a small break. Do a quick reflection on what it is that our beliefs are. When was the last time we reflected on our beliefs, and how those beliefs are now reflected in our values and how we're living? So I'm going to just set aside about 2 minutes of silent reflection. We're going to take a little check-in break, and then I'll let you know when we're going to come back together and move on to our next topic. So about 2 minutes of reflection now. Feel free to close your eyes. Right. Thank you all for taking some time to check in with your spiritual compass. See what direction you want to head into next. If you haven't done that in a while and that felt good, well, set aside some time to do it again later this week. Really see where you stand now and where you want to go next. Without setting aside time to do that, though, it doesn't present itself to us often. So making time to address that aspect and making time to consider ways that we can put that into practice is really important. And it does take some planning. All right. Emotional rest is up next. And for emotional rest, this really is about being honest with our feelings. So emotional labor takes energy and effort. Those who work in the caring professions, for example, know that compassion can wear out with overuse. Experiencing any strong emotion can be really exhausting. It can be something fantastic. However, if it's intense, it's still going to take something out of us. One of the most taxing things, though, is when we have to put on a brave face, when we have to have our outside not necessarily match what is going on our inside. To feel unable to express your genuine emotional experience can be very, very draining. Feeling unappreciated, disconnected, that can also lead to things like emotional fatigue, depression, and anxiety. So, regulating well being is about finding ways to refill your emotional tank. Regular reflection to figure out what works for you ensures you're never running on empty. So, a couple of things that you might want to spending time alone and avoiding those stressful situations. Perfect. That is exactly it. Get that time alone, exercise, and absolutely talking with colleagues who are in a similar situation to you, calling an old friend who doesn't have anything to do with the situation and is just somebody you adore, seeking out humor, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, to then realign those. Oh, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. So, this idea of gratitude also, practicing saying no, all of these things that can help kind of grease these wheels so that our emotional landscape inside is better able to match our emotional landscape outside. So, what do you think about this? What is a place that you feel, oh, perfect, get out of the office and drive home? What is a place that you feel like you can be totally yourself? If you would not mind sharing those places, where is it that you are most you? The woods, walking, nature, therapy, bathtub, jacuzzi. Oh boy, yes, fabulous. Anybody feel most like themselves? Car windows closed, sing it. Anybody feel most like themselves? Oh, around animals, so beautiful. Good friends, when they're getting a massage. These are excellent. So I'm seeing this nature theme, right? That really comes up for a lot of people. There's low expectations in nature. In the bedroom doing Tai Chi, wonderful. Connecting the mind and the body. Video games, look, video games are fantastic. They can really give us this sense of accomplishment, of mastery, of control over our environment. I think they get a bad rap sometimes. Going dining with my wife, massage, general self-care. I love it. These things, when we are reflecting on ourselves, oh my gosh, Rebecca, eating ice cream. Yes, yes, yes. I also feel very much like myself when I am eating ice cream. And Paul makes ice cream. Paul, you got to get together. That's great. So ice cream is a joy. Chocolate, wonderful. So all of these are things that help us connect with our own identity, feel like we understand ourselves, and feel like we know ourselves. That is what we need as a balance when we come across these situations that really create friction between those internal and external worlds. And a lot of the stuff that we're seeing come through is talking about this connection with walking and with physical activity and how that brings our brain into a better, happier space. So lean into those things when you feel like you are running out of gas. So next up here, we have social rest. And this seems like, well, didn't we just talk about that? That's about people, right? But that emotional rest is more about your internal and external landscapes. This social rest is really about the relationships that we create with people and the roles that we play within those relationships. So what this social rest is about being able to identify which relationships revive us, make us feel more invigorated, and which ones that exhaust us. the Debbie Downers of the world who really can take our energy away from us. So this is really closely connected to emotional rest. It is the rest that we need from the social roles that we play in one another's lives. So in every relationship, there's this exchange of energy and attention. Sometimes we give, sometimes we receive. But if you're constantly feeling overwhelmed by other people's demands of you, it might be time to reassess where you are getting your social rest. You can do this either by temporarily retreating from social interaction, which is coming up here, and then that might be important for you if you identify as being someone who really needs that time away. Or we can ensure that the people we are spending time with genuinely support us and inspire us. So this is the idea also, that sometimes we label ourselves like, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert, and I will never be the other thing. But most of us are kind of on this spectrum, right? So this idea that maybe sometimes what's good for us is pulling back, but other times really leaning into close friends and family and ensuring that the people who we're spending our voluntary time with really are the people that we like and enjoy. So focusing on how people make you feel, paying attention to that, setting boundaries to reduce conflict, making plans that align with your interests and align with the people you want to share love with, and seeking out other people who have similar common interests if you don't already have those people in place. So focus on the idea, oh, bring food to share. You have got it right. Food is the key to almost everybody's heart. So food is always a wonderful way to make connections with people. Absolutely. So purposely connecting with people who increase your capacity to love and to live fully. They help remind you to live in the moment and happily bring you into their moment. So that's what you're looking for. The people who are your folks. So next, what I'd like you to do is think about your favorite person. Who's your bestie, your best buddy, the person who makes you smile every time you think about them. Drop in the chat what it is that you like about that person. What is it? Yeah, that's right, Barbara. What is it that you love about your favorite people? Make you laugh. Absolutely, Lauren. Good set of ears. Nice listen. Cheerful. Cheerful, yes. Laughs at your jokes. This sense of humor is so essential, right? That's how we make these connections. Anybody love a truth teller out there? Somebody who's willing to just say what reality is to you? Yes. Honesty, funniness, positivity. Make me smile. Tell a good story. Absolutely. Make you laugh even if you don't want to. I have a few of those people in my life. They're wonderful. Are there people in your life who you feel like are always going to show up? They're really dependable. Tell you what you need to hear. I love it. Different perspectives. Oh, such beautiful, beautiful recognition of these people that you love. So these are the things that really make these relationships worthwhile. Feeling ease and comfort, sharing issues, having overlap and understanding of each other as human beings. Who are the people you connect with on a real human being level? Those are the people to lean into. Those are the relationships to support, enhance, and grow. I love it. And it sounds like you all have funny, funny people in your life. People are not afraid of hearing the truth. Yes. Or telling the truth. Daughter. All right. That's even luckier. Wonderful. All right. Let's get into our next section. We're going to talk about son and sister. Oh, I love it, Angel. Beautiful. You guys are very lucky to have people in your family like that who are your favorites. All right. Next one is sensory rest. And we all know what it feels like to be overwhelmed from our senses, especially these days with all the dings and rings and pings and zings, right? So it seems like everything is constantly vying for our attention these days. And that is a big challenge because it's impossible to ignore. And so, excellent. Turning some of this stuff off can just reduce this information stream. Right now we have this huge tap open. It's like a deluge of sensory information. And what we need to do is just kind of narrow that stream a little bit every now and again so that we can take in a reasonable amount of information to process. The floodgates are open most times. So if we think about this just in the aspect of the news, for example, when our parents or our grandparents received the news, how did that happen? Any ideas? Like, you read the paper, right? You had to go get the paper. Either you were fancy and lived in town and got it delivered. Got the radio. Yeah, you could listen to the radio. The news was only on 6 o'clock. And then there was the national news was 7 o'clock. Yep. Letters, telegrams, slower stream of information, definitely, right? And one of the things that I noticed is that you had to go get it. It was a physical act that you had to go out and get the paper, or you had to ask for the radio to be turned on. But now that we all walk around with miniature computers in our pockets all the time, it seems like the information is coming to let us know it's there. It's alerting us constantly. And what that means is that we have constant stimulation of new information at all times, not just when we have chosen to let it in. So one of the things that we can do when it comes to sensory rest is to say, I actually am in control of when this information comes to me. And I'm going to regulate this flow because I cannot take it all in at once. So taking out stressful sensory input and either replacing it with more soothing ideas or reducing the overall intake of sensory information so that we can focus on just what is important. We have a hyperstimulation, assault on the senses from these screens, noise pollution, smell, our scent. Scent can really be distracting for a lot of people. So when you feel like you are anxious or irritable during the day, maybe take a look around and say, is there anything in my environment right now that is overstimulating me? If so, think about maybe dimming your lights or your computer screen. Maybe consider avoiding your device entirely, thinking about earplugs, whatever needed interventions you have to just take this down a notch. Think about employing that. Headphones on, listen to spa music. Beautiful. Go ahead and write in the chat any other ideas that you have that might help other people to figure out how to tap into this quiet in their day. One of the things that I like to do is I batch my emails. So I will only check emails a couple times a day. I'll have a check in the morning, check mid-morning, check before lunch, check after lunch, but just at certain times of the day so that I am not always reacting and responding. Another thing is that I have my phone set on do not disturb a lot of the days so that anybody who tries to reach me will know that I'm not available until I am. We used to not be constantly available. So I'm still free for emergencies. I can still see what's happening. But turning that down and letting other people know I'm just not available. It's not that I'm not responding. I'm not rude. I'm just not going to respond immediately. turning your devices off is amazing. And that's one of those things that when we're out in nature, let's really embrace that idea of disconnecting from these things that are, give yourself permission to do this. It's okay. It's okay to take a break, to lay it down, because the information will be there for us when we come back, won't it? We all know that. Any other ideas? Anybody like anything to do with their ears? Just get outside and enjoy the day. Great. Newspaper. Like reading a physical book or a newspaper can feel great too, when we're talking about kind of simplifying how that information is coming to us. Sports activity is wonderful. And petting your pet. Oh, Deborah, what a great thing you've hit on here with the sensory rest. That we're getting this whole other kind of stimuli, this whole other kind of experience. When we're talking about the sensory experience with our pets, incredibly soothing. Most times, I should say, pets are incredibly soothing. I have some cats that wreak some havoc occasionally on my household. However, most of the time, they are really, really wonderful companions who do a lot for our, not only our physical health, but our mental health as well. Yes, excellent. Talking to a real person who stimulates your mind, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed with this sensory overload. All right, next up, we have creative rest. Creative rest, this is like one of my favorites, because when we hear this word creative, we immediately go to thinking about our output. And we think, I'm creative, I do cross stitch, or I'm creative, I paint, or I'm creative, I bake, or even I'm creative, I garden. That's my thing too. But what I mean by creative rest is the experience of allowing beauty to inspire all. And I know that sounds like a lot of kind of lofty words, but this creative rest is about what fills your bucket to be able to then produce, what inspires you to want to create something that you then share with the world. So when we're looking at this idea of maybe not necessarily your production, but what makes you want to produce a piece of art. What inspires you to get this renewed sense of the world? That is creative rest. Visit a museum or art center. Beautiful. So let's get into this question. What makes you feel awe? Is it standing on a mountaintop looking out over the valley? Decorating for seasonal times, Melanie? Beautiful. Wonderful. How topical too, right? Tons of fun right now to feel that great little inspiration that you get from the twinkling lights and the displays that people put out and all the care that they put into spreading that cheer. Absolutely. Anybody else get this feeling when they travel? Building a castle. Yes. Love to see others art. It's okay not to be able to produce grandchildren. This is the one I was waiting for. Listening to music. Excellent. We'll come back to that. This idea of seeing this awe and joy in our family and watching them grow, that can really be inspiring for many people. Music does beautiful things to our brains, helps us to marry the two sides of our brains together. Really, really stimulating, excellent for brain health overall if you are a person who plays music. Sewing machine, wonderful. Okay, so you are able to then use your hobby of production, but your inspiration comes from the feelings that you're going to be able to provide to those people who you are end result giving your creations to. Learning while you travel, all this stimulation about how the world is really an amazing place and how we want to be in it and contribute to it. Recipes, cooking, wonderful. So think about reading books, listening to podcasts, finding stillness, immersing yourself, art, look, if you're not a person, if I very much was a person who decided in 3rd grade I couldn't draw. Art's not for me. I don't do it. I'm not an artist. Well, guess what? I tried to draw an acorn a couple of months ago, and I was really impressed with myself. If you haven't doodled or drawn anything in your recent past, I would highly recommend just giving it a shot. Choose something simple, observe, and then see what you can make. No pressure. Doesn't have to be great. You don't even have to show anybody. But that idea of saying the world is here. Yes, art is an impression of what you create. Beautiful. So this idea that we can engage in a way, ice cream is so beautiful, inspirational. This idea that we can take these things and then use them to make the world, to engage with the world in that way is really, it's a really big idea. Move from this act of kind of passively engaging into real inspiration for your creations. All right. The last big category here tonight, oh, it's photography. Beautiful. Yes, because then you can kind of be inspired by the nature, re-inspired by your interpretation of it. That's a beautiful feedback loop there too. All right, so physical rest. This is our last big section of our rest reset. So there are passive and active forms of rest. So sleeping and napping are what we think about when we think about physical rest, but those are passive rest. To maximize the likelihood of getting restful sleep, make sure that you've got some good bedtime habits, consistent bedtime, control your temperature, don't drink caffeine late in the day, have a routine to get to bed. We're basically like giant toddlers. If you would take care of a child by making sure that they go to bed regularly, that they have healthy foods to eat, that they move around enough, and that they're able to that they're able to have their most basic needs met, we have all those same basic needs. We don't become a different creature when we hit puberty. Really, we stay with those same needs our whole life. So if we can address ourselves as if we are toddlers who need those basics covered, then we can really grow from there. And this physical rest is one of those basics. So active physical rest includes things like stretching, yoga, tai chi, these beautiful aimless walks, maybe not for fitness, just for peace and enjoyment. This idea of breathing exercises, progressive muscle relaxation, hot baths, massages, things that make our body feel good. Active rest is also whatever makes you feel restored. So if you think about how you like to use your body when you were a child, I'll share with you my favorite activity was the skip it. It's like a little ring with a stick and a ball on the end. You put your ankle in it and you jump over the ball. It was really fun. I'm dating myself with that reference, but think about what you like to do as a child and then see if you could try it again. It was enjoyable then. Maybe it'll be a great time now. Figure out a way that you can use your body for enjoyment. And ways that make you feel restored. Zen music, beautiful. Having that ability to take your muscles into a state of relaxation or enjoyment is really important. Rediscover the joy of using your body for something other than work. If you've completely forgotten how to do that, spend some time watching a kid play. Because the freedom that is found in play is as needed in adulthood as it is in childhood. Again, we're just giant toddlers. Some would argue we need even more of this to be inserted into our lives. So don't let responsibilities edge out the liberty to enjoy something just because it makes you smile, but maybe it's kind of silly. Who cares? Go for the smile. All right, drop in the chat what you love to do with your body if you haven't done so already. What is it that makes you feel like you? Swimming a mile, beautiful. I know eating ice cream is gonna come too. Dancing, exercise, beautiful. Swimming, diving, running. Ice cream, I saw it. The running theme. Biking, what kind of freedom on a bike? You can go so far, so fast. Pickleball, amazing. So when you're thinking about physical rest, nobody's like, I love napping. I did hear earlier today, love napping though. Yeah, these things that allow us to connect with how our bodies feel and the joy we feel in that movement, that's really what we're shooting for. Wonderful. All right, Tai Chi, great. Mind body exercise. Sledding with grandkids, right? Sharon, definitely carefully, but awesome. What great fun. That is joyful. That is excitement. That is engagement. Wonderful. Digging in the dirt. Andrea, that's my fave. Short breaks. Cartoons are good too. Yes, they are. All right. So here's your 7 batteries. Think about if any one of these depletes, we're going to feel exhaustion. If any one of these goes dead, we're going to have these ripple effects that go through the other ones. It's going to drain those energies from the other areas in order to compensate, right? So if you think about your phone battery's performance as it ages, it just doesn't keep the charge quite as long. So what that may mean is that we've got to refuel more frequently. We can recharge our batteries by correctly identifying what will give us the most benefit for our energy investment to replenish ourselves. Focusing on the physical category only means that we may miss out on opportunities to address what's going on and the stuff that's actually going to give us the most lift, like staying home if we don't really feel like going somewhere, or meeting up with an amazing friend, or spending time with your pet alone without any other rings, dings, and pings coming at you. It just shows us really that sleep alone often can't restore us to the point that we feel rested. So the basis here, our everyday charging stations are back to this toddler idea. Yes, Paul, no is a complete sentence. Set those boundaries up so you're working within what is really reasonable for you. Everyday charging stations, these are our basics again. So moving around, exercise is great medicine, helps regulate your mood, makes you feel better. We think about it being this way to burn calories and make it so that we can earn food. That's maybe a different direction than we want to go in. Let's just lean into this invigoration, this way that we receive energy from using our body. Maintaining a variety and balance in your exercise routine is the key to finding that happy place between energy used and energy gained. The only thing you got to think about with this is, how do I like to move? What makes me feel good to do? That's what you're actually going to participate in. So identify those activities and then set it up so you can make it happen. Eating regularly. Yeah, we have to do that. It's essential, right? So eating regularly helps us fuel a healthy metabolism, not skipping meals, balancing your plate to enjoy a variety of foods. Energy zappers tend to be things with high added sugars, things that are high in caffeine, but then maybe have a crash. There are really, I think fiber is an amazing aspect of food, and if I'm making a shortcut decision, I will usually decide which food has a higher amount of fiber in it, and that's my choice. So sleeping is the last thing on this everyday charging station. This is giving yourself enough time to get the right, setting a table. Beautiful, Sharon. That is a nice tip too. Set a rhythm for your sleep schedule and get up and go to bed at the same time every night. Turn screens off or move them out of your bedroom entirely. Set your bedroom up to help you get a restful night's sleep. Keep it cool, dark, and quiet. Drinking hot water, yes, that is great and really nice to do at the end of the day. Also, it's a great way to wake up. So look, beyond the bubble bath, we're not really going to resolve some of these issues just by taking a bath. Balanced approach venerates both work and rest as two complementary aspects of a life well lived. Good rest is rest that acknowledges the source and nature of our fatigue. In a culture that salutes productivity, it can be difficult to sink fully into rest without guilt, or even to dwell deeply on the kind of rest we're really craving. It's easier, however, if we reframe rest and restoration not in the negative, like not working, but in the positive as an important and healthy part of the rhythm of our lives. You can't go at warp speed all the time. And the reason is it wouldn't be warp speed. It would be normal speed. So think about when you use this idea of acceleration and when you use this idea of moderation as your base level. So using the resources that you have available, one thing I would recommend is that you start with your insurance provider. Think about what mental health and wellness services are already available to you. What stuff is out there that you have access to? The time to build a support network is prior to a crisis. So reach out to a provider and establish a relationship before you need one. And when we wrap here in just a few moments, I'm going to drop some links into our chat that can help put you on a track to figure out some additional resources for yourself. One of those is going to be my website for commonhealth.virginia.gov. And again, I'm here through the Department of Human Resource Management. We go out and talk to all state employees about how to be healthy humans, really. So I deeply, deeply appreciate being able to share some of these things with you. If you have any questions, go ahead and pop those into the chat. And then I'd like to wrap up with a happy little video, but we'll see if any questions come through now. And I'm also going to drop into our chat the information that I have for those links for you. And those should have come through now. Everybody should be able to see that in the chat. What I have here is a rest quiz. If you're really into this idea, this concept, what you can do is follow up with that and choose restquiz.com. And they don't ask for any information other than your email address, and then they don't send you any follow-up emails. You don't get on a mailing list or anything like that. Just straight up send you the results of this quiz, and they let you know which aspect you might want to focus on first. So maybe the recommendation is to focus on your spiritual rest and your mental rest. It's nice to help identify where to put your energy. There's also a resource from Common Health and the Virginia Office for Aging Services, AARP Mental Health Resource Center, and then some information for Medicare Part B coverage for outpatient services. So if you're a Medicare recipient and want some additional information about mental health supports, that's a great way to get into that. Wonderful. Any questions come through, Kate? Great. That means I can't be stumped. I think you might still be on mute.
No, I just said it just means that you covered everything amazingly.
Wonderful. All right, so I would like to leave you guys with this really beautiful short video that I have, and I'll get that queued up for you now. And I really just want to say thank you again for spending some time with me this evening, for giving me your attention, and hopefully for being better volunteers in the future, because now you'll be able to be showing up with the energy that you want and need to feel like yourself. Yay, I like the clapping. Thank you so much. All right, on to the video. Here we go. And, oh, actually,
feelings, and
back this up because I don't think I have my audio on. Give me a quick second. And here
take
we
a
go.
moment to imagine a bright blue sky stretching off into the distance. Feels pretty good, right? This is a perfect metaphor for the mind, a blank canvas on which thoughts, feelings, and experiences appear. Okay, so maybe there are just a few clouds, but they tend not to bother us or distract us too much, especially if they're the cute little fluffy variety. This is how the mind appears when it's calm, bright, serene, and happy. But life isn't always easy. Sometimes there are a lot more clouds in the sky. Sometimes it might be the dark and stormy variety. Occasionally, we might even begin to wonder if a hurricane's on the way. It gets to the point that it's hard to think of anything else. In fact, sometimes we get so obsessed by the clouds that we forget about the blue sky altogether. But it's still there. Every time you're in a plane and you fly through the clouds, there it is, right? Without fail, blue sky. It's easy to forget that what we're looking for is already here. And that's why we need reminding.
Wonderful. I just like that. I like that concept. I like that idea. These answers are within you. So I encourage you to continue to think and consider what it is that makes you feel your best, and then put that into practice. Thank you again for spending time with me tonight.